Imagine you're working at a company that develops financial planning software. There's a big meeting when your team's debating over which new feature to develop next. One option is this technically complex feature that sounds super exciting to build and really shows off your coding ability and your company's ability to innovate technically. It only caters to a niche segment of your customer base, those really high-end users who love having the latest and greatest features. Then there's another feature on the table. The other feature isn't as technically challenging as the first one. It's pretty straightforward, but it solves a really common problem that a huge chunk of your potential market experiences. Which of these features do you, as a software engineer, advocate for building? And the answer to this can be a relatively good indicator of your seniority as a software developer. I started my career as a software developer about 15 years ago, and for the first few years of my career I repeatedly made the same mistake over and over again. I went through a couple of different jobs at a couple of different companies, and I made the same mistake each time I got a new role. And that mistake was this. I thought that because my job title was software engineer or software developer, that my job was just to write code, to turn product requirements into working products, to never really question or even think about why we're doing something, just do as I'm told and build it and collect my paycheck at the end of the month. And I would measure my own productivity, in my head at least, by how much of the day I was able to spend with my hands on the keyboard typing out code. How quickly was I able to turn a Jira ticket into a pull request? But this is actually an incredibly blinkered way of looking at your role as a software engineer, and it misses some of the most important skills that you need to learn to be able to grow in your career and become a senior developer and beyond. One of those skills is actually the ability to understand your business. A business is loosely defined as some kind of commercial activity, and this is a definition I got from the internet. So it has to do with money, basically. Businesses are all about generating revenue and then reinvesting that revenue in order to generate more revenue. So if you're being paid to write code, and it doesn't matter if you're a freelancer or you run your own startup or you're an employee taking home a monthly paycheck, if you're being paid to do this job, then you are part of a business. And ultimately, your role in that business is either to generate capital in the form of software that you can sell, or to contribute to the operating side of your business so that it can continue to run and make money. Now, I admit this all sounds a bit cold and capitalist, right? But it's a harsh truth for probably 90% of the people that watch this channel, and I expect that probably includes you as well. It doesn't matter how cleanly you can refactor your code, if it isn't making money for your business and it isn't making your business successful, then you're doing something wrong. So I put it to you that the one big hurdle standing in the way of your career growth is your knowledge of the business that you work in. Ask yourself, how is the success of your company actually measured? If you work for a SaaS company, then what are your SaaS metrics? What's your ARR growth? What's your customer lifetime value? What is that as a relation of the lifetime value? Why does any of that matter? Well, it matters because growth in your career comes from the value that you add to your business. The more valuable you are to the success of the business that employs you, then the more your company is going to want to hang on to you and get the most out of you in the future. So what does all this look like in practice? How can you actually drive more revenue growth for your company just as a lowly software developer? Well, here's a few tips. Firstly, understand the language of business, and that includes understanding the language of your particular industry. So if you're a software engineer in the manufacturing industry, then learn all the terms associated with manufacturing, learn how contracts work, learn how industrial processes are put together. If you make legal software, then really learn about the legal industry. Know what all of the acronyms stand for in law. Generally just learn the language of the business that the people in your organization use. It will come in handy one day in your career if you stay in that industry. Secondly, try to think about the business revenue drivers behind the product requirements that you're given. And this is a really important skill. So if you only remember one thing from this video, it should be this. Next time you're given a feature to build, instead of just reading the acceptance criteria and typing out some code, spend some time really trying to figure out what is the business value behind those product requirements. So if your product owner wants a new button added to the UI, then why do they want that button? What outcome are they trying to achieve by adding that button to the page? What metrics are they using to measure the success of that feature? And you can find all this out by just asking the questions of your product owner. So sit down with your product manager or product owner if you work for clients directly, and then sit down with your clients and just spend that extra bit of time really trying to answer all of these questions. What business outcome are you actually trying to drive with this feature? Sometimes even just asking that question can make you stand out as an engineer, and it can make you look like someone who's invaluable to your business. So ask that question and listen carefully to the answer every time. So let's go back to that example at the start of this video. Now you're sitting there and you're starting to think about the business impact of each of these two features. So you put up some figures on the expected market size for both features, the projected adoption rates of those features, and how they could translate into direct revenue from new or upgraded subscriptions. So after doing that analysis, you present your findings to the rest of your team and to your product manager and to your leadership, and you point out that while that complex feature is a really cool thing to do, the simpler one is actually likely to attract more customers and retain current ones because it addresses a widespread need. And being able to do that and bring your technical expertise to that, because this is basically the job of a product manager, but doing that as an engineer and bringing the technical side to it really will make you stand out as a senior software engineer and beyond. So next time you're handed a feature to develop by your product owner, don't just think about the code, think about the actual business and the commerce behind it. Ask yourself the question, what's the business value here? And watch how that changes the game for your career, and watch how that changes the conversations you have with the rest of your team and your leadership. So anyway, I hope you get a chance to put your business brain into action soon in your job. And as always, don't forget to check out my other videos. I've got some more tips on here to help you grow in your career as a software engineer from all of my years of experience as an engineering manager and a director. And there's a video on the screen right here now with some more career tips in it. I'll see you in that one.